Yes. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing fine.
Good.
All things considered, I can complain, but nobody would listen.
Isn't that the truth?
Good to see you, Dr. Chu.
Hey, hi. Oh my goodness, Jean, how are you?
Well, thank you. It's good to see you, Fred.
Great seeing you.
Yes, indeed.
Well, welcome everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to our annual Helen Myers Award, but also our holiday program, which, like everything else, it's just one of those unique situations. And hopefully next year we won't be doing this anymore. And hopefully we'll be only having these Zoom meetings for maybe a couple months more, a few months more, and as the vaccines start rolling out. But it is good to see so many faces here in our Brady Bunch screen, and it's good that we're able to get together, at least in this way, to recognize some of the folks who've done so much over the last year, and especially in this very significant year for us. And we did turn the White House blue. So congratulations to all of us in making that happen. So just real quick, I wanted to get things rolling and give just a short description as to why we do name our annual volunteer awards in honor of the late Helen Myers. Helen Myers, from 1914 to 2005, passed away in 2005. She was a co-founder of the California Democratic Caucus and of the Voorhees Democratic Club, and of the trustee of Scripps College. And this is something that actually Ivan Light put together for us. So it's good to keep this background going. She was the organizational chair for the LA County Democratic Central Committee. And she assisted in the founding of the Democratic Club here at a meeting held January 14th, 1953, back in the old Griswold Inn. In the same year, the all-volunteer California Democratic Council was formed, and Helen served as its first vice president representing Southern California, along with Alan Cranston, who later became Senator Cranston, who actually I had a chance to meet one day. So tall guy. He represented the Northern California area, came from Northern California. Today, the CDC continues to provide support services to our Democratic Club here, and more than 500 other clubs and organizations. How many of you guys had the chance of meeting Helen Myers? Did anyone in the club? Oh, great. All right. Ivan, who I haven't seen if Ivan is on the call here. He did write that when he first joined the Voorhees Democratic Club back in 1986, Helen Myers was the president. And at that time, Claremont was gerrymandered into a safe Republican district that reelected a Kansas City millionaire to the House for 20 years in a row. Anyone know who that is or was?
David Dreyer.
That's right. And as a result, the Democrats in Claremont were demoralized and hopeless. Politicians never attended our events as they do now, as you can see here on our screen. But thanks to Helen, we still mounted a parade contingent on July 4th, held monthly meetings, published the Voorhees Voice monthly, and sent reps to the CDC and wrote letters to newspapers. And if she were here today, she would be amazed that not only do we have Congresswoman Chu that has replaced that seat and turned it blue, but all our other representatives from the White House to Congress, to Sacramento, and even to the county. So what a great difference it's made. I remember when I was first on the council, it was all red, and it's great to see that we're all blue now. So with that, to start off our first recognition, I'm also playing admitting all, so sorry about my interruptions here. But to get us going with the ceremonial program today, I'm going to introduce Mel Boynton, who Mel is going to introduce our first awardee. Mel has a master's degree. For those who don't know, and where's Mel on the screen here? All right, there you are. Thank you, Mel. Just in case some of us here don't know, Mel has a master's degree in economics from Cornell University. He's been active in local, regional, and national United Nations associations of the United States of America since 2014. Mel was a state regulator and technology executive in Minnesota before retiring to California in 2003. And he is a Marines veteran and has traveled to over 35 countries. Great guy, and he's been one of our main people that keep things going in Claremont for the Democratic Club, but also for making sure that we have cycling happening all throughout Claremont. So please join me in welcoming Mel. Welcome, Mel.
Thank you, Sam. You're great. If you've empowered my share screen, I'll be sharing
Yes.
something here in a moment. That's great. I knew Ware Myers. Many of you knew Ware Myers. If you could wave your hand if you knew Ware. Yeah, that was Helen's husband, and he had written her biography, and he was a wonderful, smart, generous guy. And we used to go to University Club every week together until he passed. And his son, Paul Myers, is continuing the Myers family tradition. Tonight, it's my distinct honor. In the program, you saw the tribute that was sent to Charlene Martin. And I've known Charlene for at least 15 years, maybe a little longer. But I knew her as the director of International Place at Claremont McKenna College. Any of you that have been involved in International Place, would you raise your hand? Just wave at us a little bit. Major institution. Well, Charlene was the founder and director of International Place for many, many years. Just transformed the college's treatment of international students and gave the whole town an appreciation through the Friends of International Place, an appreciation for international influence in the town of Claremont and at the colleges themselves, often arranging host families for international students, gatherings and fundraisings for the Friends of International Place. And there is a Charlene Martin room at International Place these days. And I knew Charlene because every year we would hold the UN Day in October, hosted at International Place. And we have a terrific turnout. It's even better these days with Charlene as the current president of the United Nations Association in our part of the world. It's called the Pomona Valley chapter. She has served in multiple roles, but is doing a remarkable job of assembling a distinguished board, increasing the membership, I think by over 30%, putting on spectacular programs, even during COVID times, and her partnership with all the progressive institutions of the Claremont community, including the League of Women Voters, the NAACP, the University, and others. Charlene Martin has taken her lifelong dedication to progressive causes to all new heights. And it's our honor to honor her tonight. Now, Charlene, would you just raise your hand for people that don't know you well? Okay. Now, do you have some of your certificates that were awarded to you, Charlene? They should have been delivered to you. Let me just name a few of them. We have Congresswoman Judy Chu is here. And her office has recognized you. Isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
That's great. And the chair of our LA County Board of Supervisors, Hilda Solis, who's doing a wonderful job trying to contain this incredible spread of COVID-19 with the health department. our distinguished Senator Anthony Portantino. I know Anthony's here. You want to wave to us, Anthony? He's got the big Biden-Harris sign. That's great.
Oh, there it is.
And of course, the Democratic Club of Claremont itself. Having known Charlene and worked with her, it's such a pleasure to, I bicycle by her house several days a week. Some of you know that Sam and I are bicyclists. And I want to give Charlene just a few minutes here to speak of her experience in the Claremont community and her appreciation for progressive causes throughout the Pomona Valley area. Charlene, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mel. I'm really honored to receive the Helen Meyer Award from the Democratic Club of Claremont. I moved here in the 60s with my toddlers, and it wasn't long before I heard about Helen Myers. And I knew that she was an elegant person and a powerhouse in what we then called the Jerry Voorhees Club. And I remember being in her home with a League of Women Voters Committee, and she served us tea in china cups. It was just beautifully done. I wish I had known her better, though. I think mostly tonight, you're honoring our local UNA chapter. And I have worked very hard in recent years with it, but had a lot of help from many of the Democratic Club members, like Katie Garricky, Mel Boynton, of course, Carolee Monroe, Laura and Marjorie Bray, and Martina Ebert, and many others. Mel mentioned my work with international students at the Claremont colleges. On just a personal note, knowing those students from all over the world, of course, affected me. I slowly became more aware of the world's nations and cultures and political systems and issues that bind us together and separate us. And I guess, again, on a personal note, long ago, I received my college degree in biology, which of course also left me with a sense that all human beings are together on this earth in an interconnected ecosystem, which brings me back to wanting to help in some small way the United Nations Association with realize its goals. I should say that the United Nations Association is nonpartisan, and actually, historically, some of the most valuable supporters have been Republicans. But I deeply, deeply appreciate the Democratic Party's faithful commitment through the years to the United Nations, with honorable mention, of course, to Eleanor Roosevelt. I looked up in your national 2020 Democratic platform, and it was wonderful to see some of the things, the statements in there regarding more international cooperation and commitments. I found that the intention to rejoin and reform as needed the World Health Organization, to rejoin the UN Human Rights Council and the UN Population Fund, to reaffirm America's commitment to the United Nations and to the Sustainable Development Goals, such as reducing income inequality within and among countries, and to rejoin the Paris Climate Agreement and to commit the United States to doing its fair share and lead the world in an effort to keep global warming to 1.5 5 degrees Celsius. So all in all, thank you so much as an organization for sharing the goals for sharing goals with the United Nations Association for a more peaceful justice in a healthy world for all, a healthy planet environmentally for all. And thank you for the honor.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlene. Back to you, Sam.
Great, thank you, Mel, and congratulations, Charlene. What I forgot to mention earlier is what we'll do is we'll recognize both our people that we're going to recognize today, and then we'll have our elected officials and honored guests say a few words, and then we'll have more recognition at the very end. So we'll go ahead and it'll be my honor now to introduce our next Helen Meyer recipients. It's a combo effort of Claremont Change. So we have a Josue and Winnick here. Yes, there they are. By way of background, Claremont Change is a local grassroots group working to protect the most vulnerable in our community. Their mission is to organize and connect our community around efforts such as electing progressive leaders, defunding the police, creating true accountability measures and disciplinary measures for law enforcement, and creating a civilian oversight committee. The year 2020 will be remembered for a long time, but perhaps one of the most vile moments that will be seared in our minds is the killing of George Floyd. The outrage caused in the midst of a global pandemic, demonstrations and civil rights movements throughout the country. And we know it felt like the country was burning down. But we know something was going to break. Unfortunately, the death of George Floyd or Breonna Taylor or any of the other lives taken unjustly were perhaps the sparks, but between the outright populism of racism by Trump and his cohorts, the fatigue of this pandemic and the growing disparity of wealth among our American population, it was all fuel for the firestorm that we all witnessed in 2020. Locally, it was Claremont Change that stepped up and engaged our residents. It was Claremont Change that taught us what Black Lives Matter really means. But most importantly, it was Claremont Change that set the topics of discussion this very important election year. It was a unique year for us with district voting here in the city and well-qualified candidates with a heavily engaged community. So their work was really cut out for them. Today, we recognize Claremont Change founders Jose Barnes and Noah Winnick, and a shout out to their advisors and growing list of community supporters. They're recognized for their continued work in integrating this movement into our government structure. Although we may not all agree, it's important that the movement continues to be discussed and considered as we continue to work towards some consensus in our local policy making. So that was the background on why we felt that Claremont Change should be what a recipient for the Helen Myers, their activism and their involvement in really making that discussion one of the main topics of discussion during this very involved election year. So it is my honor to award the Helen Myers Award to Claremont Change. And we have Jose here and Mr. Winnick here to accept the award. So Jose, I see you there, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. So we both wrote a little bit, and we thought we would read it real quickly, and we'll be concise. But I would first just like to start by thanking my biggest fan and my role model, my dad, Andrew Winnick, who's on the call. I know I complained about the countless political talks at the dinner table when I was young, and the countless times I couldn't go into the dining room because the Democratic Club took over our kitchen. But you're the reason I'm motivated, and I'm so driven to use my voice to make change. So I moved to Claremont from Germany when I was 2 years old. I went to preschool at Temple Beth Israel. I played ASO soccer at La Puerta, Little League at College Park. I went to Chaparral, Roble, CHS. I fell in love in this town, had my heart broken in this town, or whatever that means to a high schooler. Claremont has been my home for as long as I can remember. I would get homesick for Claremont when I was in college. And I think it's important to say that I was about 40 minutes away at Occidental. So it was a strange feeling to be homesick for something that's like 20 miles away, but oh well. Today, my relationship to this town is as strong as it has ever been. And in any healthy relationship, one should be able to constructively criticize and evaluate. In fact, I see it as a disservice to ignore and not take the time to do so. And Claremont Change was created by two men who grew up here, who have family here, who love this town. And it's because of that deep connection that we're taking the time to work with the community and try to make sure that each and every member of this community has the opportunity to fall in love with this city the way we did. We're not fighting against our leaders. And in fact, we're working with them to amplify the voices of those in need. And I think, Josue and I are working tirelessly to bring about change that improves the lives of our most marginalized residents. And we're truly, truly deeply honored to be recognized for our efforts today and really look forward to continuing our work tomorrow. And before I pass to Sway, I'll read a favorite quote of mine, which says, "Dissent is the highest form of patriotism."
Good evening, everyone. It really is an honor to be here and to be recognized for the work that we've done through Claremont Change to create meaningful and impactful change in our community. Before I, get into things, I want to thank my friends, my family, and advisors. Some of you are here today: Andy, Martina, Kalana, Christine, and it just means a lot to me to have had the support that you guys had our back every step of the way. Even some of the council members that are here in this evening as well. So I want to thank you. I'm so grateful to have had your support, and I certainly look forward to the changes we will make together to make Claremont a better place. So as Noah was saying, the city means a lot to both of us because it really has molded us into who we are today. Those experiences were both good and bad, but nonetheless necessary. I know for a lot of folks in this community, they can't really relate to the experience of a Black person in America. They can't relate to that fear that you have when you're being followed by a police officer. They can't relate to having those talks with your children about how to be safe in public because there's a target on your back. They can't relate to having to code switch so that your peers don't see you as an outsider or a different person, or even just to be more credible. And the truth is that they can't relate because the thing is that our normal is not your normal. And that's why this spring, after the killing of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery, I couldn't stand idly by. It's not who I am, and it's not who I was raised to be. I couldn't stand by because those people, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, that could have been a family friend. It could have been my brother or my sister. It could have been my niece or my nephew. It could have been me. And simply put, I'm not okay with living in a world where people are harassed, profiled, and killed because of the color of their skin with impunity. So if someone's going to address these problems and fix them, why not me? And why not us? That's why we started Claremont Change, because someone has to dig in to do the work to make sure that we hold our police accountable for their actions, to hold our elected officials accountable for their decisions and their indecision, to make sure that the policies that we set in place moving forward aren't just not racist, but are actively anti-racist. Claremont Change may be the new kid on the block, but I do want you all to know that we are here to stay and see our efforts through. Our principles and our willingness to be better, to do more, and to ensure that we support every vulnerable person in this community is what will motivate us and help us to move forward every single day. Tonight's award is a reminder of the work that we have done. But better yet, it's a reminder of the work that still needs to be done so that we can make sure that every single resident in Claremont knows what equity and justice means and that it's guaranteed for every single person. And so I thank you all so much for considering us, for honoring us, and for recognizing our work. It's been a lot, it's been stressful, but I'm so glad that we took on this challenge to make sure that we could have those discussions and really see how we could progress our community.
Cheers. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations, guys. And as with Charlene, you received your certificates, I hope, and we'll have our elected officials say a few words in just a bit, but those are just small tokens of our appreciation. As you guys said, the real work is going to be in how we move the club forward and how we continue with the dialogue and the discussion in our integrated into our policy making. So congratulations, guys, and we look forward to our continued work together. All right, before we move on to our elected officials, I do want to recognize and get a little commercial here from our VP of membership. We have Murray. Are you here?
I'm here.
All right, Murray. Murray has diligently served as our VP of membership. Tonight, he has a message about his role. But before he presents, I do want to thank him for always being on the ready and being always stepping up at a moment's notice. And although we'll miss him on our executive board, we can continue to count on him as he continues to contribute to the club. So Murray, thank you for all your work that you've done in my time in the club. And let's hear your commercial here.
Thank you, Sam. Well, you know, my mom's got plenty of things for us to do. So our annual party has traditionally been our opportunity to gather together and share the joys and successes and sometimes sorrow of the past year. The party gives us an occasion to recognize members of our club with the Helen Myers Award. These members, through their activism and leadership, help make Claremont the vibrant community it is. For me, as Vice President of Membership, the party is my chance to ask for you to renew your membership. You should have recently been sent a letter and a form. Please take the time, if you haven't yet, to renew now. And thank you, Sam, for doing a wonderful job.
All right, thank you, Murray. All right, so hopefully you get your renewals in, and we have Carol here who's waiting for your credit card number, right?
Thank you for this. Many people have already submitted it, so it's very nice.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jennifer, too.
Cool. All right, so to continue with our festivities here today, it's now my honor to call on my friend and our representative to the U.S. Congress, Congresswoman Judy Chu. All right, Congresswoman, she was the first, by way of background, she was elected in July 2009, representing a huge chunk of the San Gabriel Valley. She currently serves on the powerful House Ways and Means Committee. That's the checkbook committee, right? She also serves on the House Small Business Committee, which has oversight on the Small Business Administration, and is the chair of the Small Business Oversight Subcommittee. On a personal note, I've known Judy and her husband, Mike, longer than I think we both like to admit. And I remember from her days from Monterey Park City Council to her time over at the State Assembly. In my past life, I'm working for the Upper San Gabriel Valley Municipal Water District and going up to Sacramento. Judy's always been our go-to person and those leaders that really do get all the policy issues that we throw at her. She did then and continues today to be one of our greatest elected officials and always there for especially the Gold Line. It's my honor to welcome Congresswoman Judy Chu. Please join me in welcoming Judy Chu.
Well, hello, everyone.
Hey.
I'm thrilled to be joining the Democratic Club of Claremont today for your annual award ceremony. And I want to congratulate the Helen Myers Leadership Award winners. Charlene Martin, thanks for your devotion to the UN. And Claremont Change, your words were so moving. Thank you for fighting for justice. And I want to give a quick shout out to our outgoing mayor of Claremont, Larry Schrader, who's done such an amazing job for the city of Claremont over the last several years. Well, 2020 is finally coming to an end, and the challenges have been something we could never have imagined. Today, there are over 16 million Americans infected and nearly 300,000 dead. In one day last week, we lost more people than we did in 9/11, and we still do not have this virus under control. One thing is clear, we have a terribly important imperative to get a COVID relief bill done so that the American people can get the help they need. This bill is more urgent than ever because critical aid is set to expire in just 2.5 weeks at the end of the year, zeroing out vital assistance for families during this crisis and pushing more Americans into greater economic distress. The relief that is ending includes the moratorium on evictions and mortgage forbearance for renters and homeowners, forbearance for student loan borrowers, paid sick and family leave for workers affected by COVID-19, and expanded eligibility for unemployment assistance to the self-employed, gig workers, and contract employees, as well as the additional weeks of assistance due to the pandemic's economic effects. The need to act is dire, and it's immediate, but Mitch McConnell has refused to budge and is instead pushing his crazy proposals to the brink. Now, can you believe it? He actually wants to relieve businesses from the liability of keeping their own workers safe. So he needs to stop playing those political games and take real action. But there is hope. I have to tell you, there's a bipartisan Senate compromise bill that's developing as a framework for negotiations. And while Leader McConnell has actually signed off on the $916 billion that is based off this bipartisan framework, the president's new proposal undermines it by cutting the unemployment insurance that is being discussed from $180 billion to an unbelievable $40 billion. Nonetheless, we must not allow either McConnell or the president to obstruct the bipartisan congressional talks that are underway. These talks are the best hope for a bipartisan solution, and McConnell must get on board. So we are going back to Washington, D.C. on Tuesday, and I'm deeply hopeful that we will be able to reach a deal next week and get this badly needed aid out to families and workers as soon as possible. In the meanwhile, President Trump continues to botch our country's COVID response plan. Earlier this week, the New York Times revealed that Pfizer had offered Trump the ability to buy enough doses to vaccinate 50 million more Americans above the 100 million Americans covered now, but he declined the offer, meaning the rest goes out to the rest of the world. In fact, the European Union immediately negotiated a deal to cover 100 million people. And it's only because of the outrage that 2 hours ago, Trump backed down and did buy the doses before it was too late. Well, the good news is we have a date to look forward to, and that's January 20th, 2021.
Yes.
When things will change for the better, and our country will finally be led through this crisis by steady hands. Thanks to the hard work of people like you, we now have Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as our president and vice president elect. And in their first 100 days, you will see a dramatic difference right off. They have committed to doing critical things like using the Defense Production Act to fix PPE problems for good, pushing for additional immediate coronavirus relief legislation, instituting a mask mandate in partnership with local officials, permanently protecting our dreamers, listening to science by rejoining the WHO, ending the Muslim ban, and extending the Voting Rights Act. But still, there is so much left to do, not the least of which is winning the 2 Georgia Senate seats so that we can pass the kind of legislation that can move this country forward. So thank you all for being here today, for staying engaged. I look forward to the day when we can all gather in person and celebrate the holidays together once again. Happy holidays to all of you.
you, Judy.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank
It's
you.
going to be so exciting to have you there now that we have some great leaders in place, and it's going to be great to have you get some great stuff done. So
Mhm.
definitely thank you very much for being here. All right, next on our agenda, we have State Senator Anthony Portantino, who's here tonight. Where's Anthony? Let's see. Still on the call here? Yes. Hey, Anthony. Another good friend of ours and of mine personally. He's always been one of those men who's been true to his word, and he has the tenacity like nobody else. State Senator Anthony Portantino represents the 25th State Senate seat, elected as a senator back in 2016 and serving in the State Assembly from 2006 to 2012. And he also served on the La Cañada Flint Ridge City Council from 1999 to 2006. So another local elected official at one point. His long distinguished career of public service can only be overshadowed by the fact that he is truly a very cool guy and a very good friend, as I said. There is zero doubt that he has always had the backs of local government, standing nose to nose with the Speaker of the Assembly when local governance was on the legislature's dinner plate. He's also the first stop in Sacramento when it comes to protecting local rule. And he's also been our staunchest supporter of the Gold Line Project for education for the 710 alternatives. And I could really go on and on when it comes to the things that he's led. But let's have Senator say a few words here, and please join me in welcoming State Senator Anthony Portantino.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam. I'm going to tell my teenage daughter that you said I was cool, because she's not going to believe that somebody would call her father cool. As far as the tenacity goes, I'm just an Italian from New Jersey, and I was raised by my mom. So I look like my mom and I'm tough like my mom. So thanks for that warm introduction. It's great to be here. I mean, this is an awesome club with terrific honorees. So I first of all want to congratulate Charlene and Claremont Change, Josue, and Noah for doing everything that you've done to deserve the Helen Myers Leadership Award tonight. I mean, listening to your stories and the history of the club and what Josue and Noah are doing, it's tremendous. I know you guys, I think, had put in a request to sit down with me. I'm hoping we can do that before the end of the year. So Christy Lopez, Christy, if you would post your email on the chat so we can set up a Zoom call for us. I'd love to hear more about your story and what you're doing before the new year, if that's possible. That would be great. You know, I've said it for years that the role of the activists is to make us do better, to hold us accountable. And, you know, this club is filled with activists. I know when I walked Claremont back in 2015, I met a lot of you at your front door and met a lot of folks. You know, Claremont's a great community, and it's a small town with a big heart, and it lives it and wears that heart every day. And I'm proud to represent the community. I'm proud to have gotten to know you. I'm glad Congresswoman Chu gave Larry a shout out for his tenure as mayor, and certainly want to congratulate Jennifer for coming in as mayor. And to touch it back to what Josue and Noah are doing, you know, it's really in a small town that you can, you know, here's a Zoom meeting with council members online and activists and academics. I mean, you really can roll up your sleeves and make a difference. And, you know, I think that's what the most important part of politics is about, is having that conversation and the dialogue. It's not, you know, whether you agree at the end of the day, it's the journey as you craft public policy. And so, you know, Claremont's one of those towns that does it well. And Sue Keith with the community college aspect of each piece of the puzzle, you know, coming together. We should give Sue a big shout out too for all of her years of service, helping kids get educated. And for me, that's where I focus most of my time. The lens I govern is as a dad. And it's why I'm working on mental health policies for schools. It's why I know this club supported my late start bill, because when you start later in the day, test scores go up and suicide goes down. And I was aghast that there was opposition. Let me say that again, test scores go up and death goes down, but people opposed it. And so we're putting in place now during COVID, some mental health policies and criteria for schools, not only to teach mental health to its students, but to be trained in mental health first aid. And so we recognize the challenges of our young people. And so I think, what we can do is we could use COVID to plan and get ready for when we fully open and get back together. As the Congresswoman said, it's going to be a new day, January 20th. I can't wait till we say goodbye to the orange-haired, whatever you want to call him. And I love reading all the rumors that he might leave the country. Wouldn't that be wonderful? And maybe when he leaves the country, we can close the border just for him, so we can't get back in. And I think we should take that all the way to the Supreme Court to see if that holds water to bar subversive insurgents from coming back to the country. But getting back to the honorees, Charlene, you're a rock star. You probably didn't know you were a rock star, but you're a rock star. And Claremont Change is doing a lot of great work. And then I'll leave you with one last thing. We fight over masks, which is the dumbest thing in the world. And I tell people, you don't put your hand in a fire because you're political. You don't put your hand in the fire because you're smart. And if you touch a fire, you get burnt because you're stupid. And masks are a sign of love. They're not a sign of politics. And I went out and I bought a black mask with a red heart on it. And to me, when you wear a mask, it means you love your neighbor. And if you don't wear a mask, it means you don't love your neighbor. And I think that's what we have to get back. And if we all just social distance and wear a mask, we'll get back to normal and continue to follow the change that these two young gentlemen are doing. And thanks for letting me represent the community, and proud to be here, and congratulate all the honorees tonight. And Christy is on the Zoom call from my office. If I'm not around, you can always reach her. So thanks a lot, and everybody have a safe holiday, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you for being here. All right, next on our train here, we have Andrea Moreno. She's the district director for Chairwoman Hilda Solis. Andrea, you're here, right? Let's see, wave. There you are. Yes, good to see you. Just so that everyone knows, as I said, that our supervisor is now the chair of the Board of Supervisors, but just in case here, if people don't remember, she was, and for those that don't know, I do have a long history with the supervisor. I used to work for her back when she was in the state assembly, and she really is truly a powerhouse. From my days being with her office back when she was in the state assembly to then she moved on to the state senate, then she became a congresswoman, then she became the first Latina to she was actually the first Latina to the state senate. Then she became the Secretary of Labor for President Barack Obama, and then now to the Board of Supervisors. So today we celebrate her in her new position, and it really is, as was noted earlier, we celebrate the fact that she is trying to do so much at the county level and trying to keep this pandemic in some kind of control. So with that, join me in welcoming Andrea, her district director for the Pomona area. Welcome, Andrea. You on mute? There you are. We're having some audio issues with your.
You don't have her mute. She's just spell her to the number of microphone.
You're not muted, but we can't hear you.
Well, until she figures it out, I'll let you know that Hilda Solis has been watering the trees along baseline here. So thank you for that, Hilda.
Well, Andrea, if it's okay, we could come back to you in just a bit. We'll move on to Matt Lyons here, who's Matt, you're here. Let's see.
I saw him.
You still with us here? Yes. Hey, Matt.
I am.
There you are. Matt, as everyone knows, is Yeah, he's been the deputy district director, but just he's been with the assembly member, excuse me, with Chris Holden for not just the entire time that Chris has been in the assembly, but here in Claremont specifically. And Matt's been to just everything that we have going on in the city, and has done really well. Did his stint in political office as well. It is good to have Matt, and as everyone here knows, has a personal connection to one of our former council members. So Matt said if that he'll speak if we really have if we really want him to. Well, yes, we really want you to say a few words if you can, Matt. Welcome. Join me in welcoming Matt.
Well, thank you. And you know what? I'll keep it brief. It's always nice to go on the tail end of a meeting because I can say ditto and me too. But on behalf of Assemblymember Chris Holden, I just want to, recognize the Democratic Club of Claremont. You have always been a model of excellence when it comes to clubs in the area. And I know way back when I started Bonita Dims in Laverne and San Dimas, I always look to you as an example of what is good to do as a club. And I want to thank Carolee Monroe. She is, an absolute trooper and very persistent in wrangling in staff and the electeds to show up and recognize the people that are important to the club. And you just can't say no to Carolee or the Claremont Dems. So thank you, Carolee. And with that said, in one of her emails, she said, could you please highlight civic activism in what you say? And, a few months ago, a close friend of mine referred me to a book titled Unbought and Unbossed by Shirley Chisholm. And one of the quotes that I keep referring back to recently is a quote of hers that says, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. And when I reflect on the two honorees tonight, I want to thank you for your efforts to be inclusive, your efforts to bring your issue to the table for the community to discuss and advocate for. And what I mean by that is in your bio that we as electeds received, on behalf of Charlene Martin, it said that the great work that she did for International Place and her commitment to global friendships. She made sure that through her work and her advocacy for the UN, that everyone was at the table. Everyone was talking about how we can be better citizens to the world. And to the bio for Claremont Change, the new kids on the block. Well, nonetheless, in your bio, it talked about Claremont Change is an active contributor to the dialogue about re-envisioning, policing, and reinvesting in public services. Thank you for making sure that that perspective was at the table for community conversations. So both of you are being recognized by the Claremont Democratic Club because you've made sure that your issues are at the table. You didn't need to bring a folding chair. You may need to in the future as you continue to advance your causes, but nonetheless, thank you on behalf of Assemblymember Chris Holden. And thank you to the Claremont Club for allowing me to be here and be a small part of this recognition for these very worthwhile candidates. You take care.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. And congratulations on the boss getting the chairmanship once again for the Utilities Committee. Well, I'm sure we'll need his help there at some point as well. Give our best to the assembly member.
Will do.
Andrea, is your mic back on?
Try this. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, yes. Please join me in welcoming Andrea. Actually, this weekend we were working when was it? Friday. We did a food distribution, so it was great to see Hilda and Andrea again in action. So welcome. Join me in welcoming Andrea.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you everybody for bearing with me. Apparently, it was my Bluetooth that was turned on. So like Sam said, right, I'm a Supervisor Solis's district director for the East San Gabriel Valley, which covers Claremont. I'm very excited to be here on her behalf. Many of you, like Sam, know her legacy. And so with this pandemic, especially, right, being Secretary of Labor, she fully, I think more than her colleagues, more than really anyone at the board right now, can really understand in the hard place that, you know, a lot of our workers are, right, in terms of the economy, the fact that small businesses are really hurting right now with the pandemic. But one of the things that we're very hopeful, like Congresswoman Judy Chu mentioned earlier, right, is that light at the end of the tunnel. We're starting to see the vaccine. And Charlene just talking about the importance of working together with our international colleagues. You know, that vaccine couldn't have happened without all of the effort that scientists are doing collaboratively, right? And I think that's one of the things that I really have come to learn about and love about Claremont, is the fact that we have such a unique way of talking about the issues and coming together collaboratively, right? We really, I've seen a lot of council meetings now to see the constant communication and the desire of community members to make their voice heard. I think that, you know, without that steam, we couldn't really get anywhere. So I really want to thank the Claremont Club for giving us an opportunity to recognize the leaders in the community that are really pushing the issues. I'm also very excited that Claremont Change is here, that we're going to have people that can help us through Measure J, right? That is a historic just measure that we're going to have to work through in LA County. In the craziest year, that still was a priority for our residents, and that just means so much to Supervisor Solis. So once again, just thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm pretty sure I will see many of you again. I'm also going to be looking at ClaremontDems.com to join myself. I'm a proud 5th District resident, so I'm just very excited to, you know, for our year to come, and just looking at all of the new possibilities. And at that light, just keep looking at that light. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you for being here. And thank the supervisor and for recognizing our awardees tonight as well. And then to continue on the parade of accolades here, we have our very own city, city of Claremont, represented by our mayor. As to quote Jed in the paper, it's great to be able to say Madam Mayor in this town. It truly is. And so Jennifer, Mayor Stark, on behalf of the city, thank you for being here, but we look forward to your remarks on behalf of the city for our awardees. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you so much. You know, I really feel like I need to first touch on Charlene. I have known Charlene, I believe, my entire life. And I've always known her as the mother to international students from all across the world. And from my perspective, it was a real privilege for me to be able to grow up with someone as remarkable as she as a role model. On an even more personal note, the night that Elvis died, I was spending the night at the Martins' house. And whenever I would spend the night at a house, I would never want to sleep. And so Charlene and I sat up in the living room and talked about Elvis and talked about music. And I think I was 7, 8. I'm a little girl. Anyways, Charlene's does stand for international friendship. And she instilled that in everybody who she touched, including the children who she had a huge influence on. I noticed that a couple of her kids are on the call. I think it's Matt and Russ. I don't know if Anna is. But anyways, Charlene's a magnificent person who deserves all of the accolades, and her work at iPlace, she established an incredible institution there with wonderful traditions, and the work that she's done for the UNA is just amazing, and she's a wonderful person. So it really is my deepest pleasure to recognize such an important person in my life. That was a little gushy. Claremont Change has really offered the opportunity for Claremont to, as one of your advisors or one of the people listed on your page said, I can't remember who it was, that to make Claremont more than just a nice place. And I think that demanding more from that which you love is really what love is. It's what parents do with their children. It's what mentors do with their mentees. You see what is possible and you advocate for it. So I would like to say thank you as a council person and as the mayor of this city. I believe that without activism, without activists, we can't get that hot flame going. It's a doorway. And as policymakers, what we need is massive amounts of community support. That is what you're doing. We have a wonderful general plan in Claremont, but it does not have a section for anti-bias or anti-racist practices. And it does not spell out a human services department that is more than a Parks and Rec department. And so as we look to redistributing our assets and our funds, we need to also look at the very structure that we're operating with. And even though change takes time, it doesn't make it any less of a magnificent change as we work towards infrastructure that can support providing the services that are so desperately necessary. And so thank you so much. I did write a couple notes that I then just sort of wandered off on, but I wanted to quote an article that I read by Jeffrey Ogbar. And he said, activists and activism can push protests and demand change in ways that any mayor cannot. Becoming mayor removes that option, but not necessarily the need for certain types of civil disobedience. So what that means to me is that it takes change makers at a community level to make a big enough surge that policymakers can take it. And in history, you see that how it took place with the sanctuary city demand. I do want to say something in summation, but I wish I could find my, sorry. Oh, Frederick Douglass said that power concedes nothing without demand. And I believe that that's something that the Democratic Party does, is keeps demanding change from power and keeps demanding a more equitable world. And at the local level in Claremont, we do have the power to create a town that's more equitable and has more opportunity and definitely has anti-racist and anti-bias values explicitly stated and then pursued. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I just love being here, and I like it every time everyone calls me mayor. I think it's fabulous. It has been way longer than 10 years also. I think it has been 15 years since there was a woman mayor.
I think so.
It's been a long time, so it's about time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Stark. Fantastic. It really is going to be exciting to, it seems like we are turning the corner with this pandemic and having the city just.
Could I just say one quick thing about the pandemic? I also want to thank everybody who's on this call for putting people before the bottom line, for putting, despite the fact that we live in a capitalist economy, for realizing that what sacrifice means is that we have to sacrifice for each other, and that despite our American exceptionalism, that actually that needs to be interrogated and poked at. And what I think that really means is that we can make exceptional sacrifices for each other. There is no agency that is going to come up with the perfect plan to handle an imperfect situation. The pandemic at its very nature is completely imperfect. And it's going to take people willing to dialogue and have conversations about the imperfect approaches to try to get through this together and keep each other alive. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Stark. Fantastic. And yeah, like you'll definitely have the post-COVID administration. So good luck with you and to the city as we get out of this. And I do have a special recognition here tonight for the mayor who did lead us through the COVID period here in our city, Mr. Larry Schrader, Mayor Larry Schrader. And to give you a special recognition, we have a couple of council members, and we'll start off with Mayor Pro Tem Jed Liano, who's here on the call. Mayor Pro Tem Jed.
Thank you. You know, Sam, I'm supposed to call you Mayor Pedrosa also because you were mayor before. So I think the protocol is that you never really lose the title. So
if that were the case, Jed, we'll be calling so many people in this town mayor.
Thank you, Sam. And real quickly, I just want to congratulate Charlene and Claremont Change. And it's good to see everybody. I hope everybody's healthy and well. And I just want to start by giving a shout out to Senator Portantino, because when he shaved his head, I said, man, he's trying to wear the Claremont look. You're trying to wear it shiny up top, buddy. But it's also pretty surreal to be here on a Democratic Club meeting. And the first name that I see underneath Santa Rosa's box was Helen Goldwater. See, Helen, I told you I was going to turn you into a Democrat one day. Don't you remember we had that conversation? So I'm joking. We
certainly did.
I'm joking. I know you're not turning. But before I recognize Larry, I just want to recognize recently elected to the Pasadena Unified School District, Tina Wu Fredericks, who is on the call. She was elected in 2018 as one of our ADEM reps, and she is leading a wonderful slate of candidates for the 2020 ADEM race, which includes 3 Claremont folks, Joe Salas, Polana Tiller, and Josue Barnes. So let's do everything we can to support them. But now the reason why I'm wearing a sweater tonight, let's get to outgoing Mayor Larry Schrader. So first of all, it's wonderful to see Larry in a Zoom background that is not a library of books that we all know he's never read. Larry was for many years, Larry served 12 years on the city council, and he served as mayor 3 times. And I can begin my remarks by telling you, first of all, that of all the council members that I served with, Larry was by far my favorite to joke with. But typically that joking was when he wasn't there. In fact, the first closed session meeting we walked into, and Larry was in Europe, I walked in, I said to the whole council, isn't it great Larry's not here? Everyone laughed, and I told him I would tell him when he came back. So when I first got on council, Larry and I were on the CalPERS subcommittee, which is an ad hoc committee of 2 council members to figure out what is our policy direction on CalPERS. And the first time Larry and I sat down with all the numbers and we read through everything, I looked at the severity of the issue. I said, Larry, what are we going to do about this? And he looked at me with a straight face and said, what's this we? I'm off council next year. I don't know what you're talking about. So I'll try to handle that with someone else, Larry. Thank you for the moral support. You know, a lot of times when you meet Larry and you hear about his background, the first thing that gets discussed is his public finance background. That Larry was a finance director in several cities, and that was his career professionally before running for city council. And so I think that his reputation that typically precedes him is that he is an elected official with a focus on public finance. But in my experience with him as an elected, he really has made so many other issues so critical and central to his work, and none more important than public health and public safety. For a long time, we grappled with with whether or not there was the political will or the political capital to pursue smoking restrictions in Claremont. And at the end of his term, Larry really wanted to make that a priority, and he put together some compromises and some narrowly tailored focus to make sure we got some smart smoking policy enacted here in Claremont. When he was mayor in 2017, when Donald Trump removed the United States from the Paris Climate Accord, literally the first city council meeting after that executive decision, Larry put on the agenda that Claremont was going to join the Alliance of the Climate Mayors, which was cities that were still committed to the policy goals of the Paris Climate Accord. And there are a lot of things that we think we know about Larry, but in my short time on council and the years before I was elected, the one thing that I'll remember Larry the most for was his willingness to include as many people in local government as possible. One thing that Larry made a strong point to always do was to always try to seek out talent and find new leadership and to encourage people. I think you should run for council. And certainly I wouldn't be here today talking if it wasn't for his encouragement. So Larry, for 12 years, I know this isn't how we wanted to say goodbye to you, but I want you to know that serving with you was one of the tremendous honors that I've had in my life. I've learned so much from you, and I wish you the best in retirement, my friend.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Jed. And Larry, we also have council member Ed Reese on the call, who also wanted to say some few nice words about you this time. Ed, are you on the call?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. I apologize for the camera issue, but you know, first of all, congratulations to Charlene and Claremont Change for being awarded tonight and recognized by the Democratic Club. But I'm here to talk about a great guy, a guy that I've gotten to know really more in depth over the last 2 years. And Larry is a man that is honest and gentle and genuine, a man that really loves Claremont, loves being a part of Claremont, and for 12 years serving Claremont. And so I have to tell you that he is definitely someone to look up to, definitely someone to emulate. And Larry is well known throughout the region and has been a leader in a variety of fronts throughout the region. And I just have to thank Larry for everything he has done for our community and for the city and staff. It has been a great 12 years, and I look forward to being blessed with the opportunity to serve as well for a number of years, and hopefully in a capacity and at a level as great as Larry. So Larry, I thank you for your friendship. I thank you for everything you've done for me personally and mentoring me in this role. And I wish you the best as you start this new adventure in life. And I bet you and Lori are going to have some great time together and create some wonderful memories. So with that, I wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you. And Larry, congratulations on the 12 years. You know, we've often heard that the perfect amount of time to serve as an elected official is 10 years. Unfortunately, our terms are always they're in 4-year increments, so it's like
too much.
it's a little bit too much. And if you quit, like, you know, in 2 terms into it, it's a little bit, you still have that missing part. So, but congratulations for serving those 12 years, and it's been great. And like everyone here said, an honor to work with you for the years that we served together, and getting some stuff done, and always being the guy to go to for anything advice in any direction when it comes to finance. So congratulations, Larry, and as everyone here said, enjoy this next chapter in your new your next life here and there in the snow.
I just want to say a couple of things, and thank you, Sam, Ed, Jed. I want to thank the Democratic Club, because if most of you remember, my campaign, and when I decided to run for council, started, I kicked it off at a Democratic luncheon on Foothill Boulevard in a little back room of a restaurant. And Bob Garricky was president at that time, and he really supported me well. And I'd be remiss if I didn't remember Gar Byram, who really helped me out, really showed me how to campaign door to door, what to do. He is a great policy guy, helped me so much, and I miss him so much. And then we went on to get the endorsement of the Democratic Party. People told me, go ahead, try to get the endorsement of the Courier. Just forget about the Bulletin. They're really Republican. And I ended up getting the endorsement of both first time around. And it's been a privilege to serve as mayor for 3 times and run and get elected for those 3 times. I think we've accomplished much, but I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize people that helped us out from outside the city, like Judy Chu and Anthony Portantino, really helped a lot. Chris Holden, Hilda Solis. They all really played their part in getting stuff done. And you know, it does take a village. So it's all good. And also the people who back them up, like Chrissy and Andrea and Matt. Those are people, get to know the people who work for those people. They get you to do a lot of things, no doubt about it. And I'm really glad to see Jennifer as mayor here. I know she's going to be really great and accomplish a lot. You know, in accomplishing a lot and on the council, I got on the council, and you know, we're all, even if as mayor, you only have 1 vote. So really, you're all equals. The mayor gets to represent the council. They get to run meetings. They go over the agenda more carefully. But in the end, everybody has 1 vote. And I'll tell you, I was really moved when I found a book that our previous city attorney actually recommended to me. It's called First Among Equals. And I think we all have to consider that. If you're all on the council and 1 vote, how can you be the first of those equals? How can you lead? How can you really make your mark? And it's the same way, all us citizens, we all have power. Let's all figure out how we can lead and use it. I know that we did get through a lot, and there's still much to do. COVID is really out there, and it's very frustrating to try to get people to work together on that, which they should. They all have this. So we all have a social responsibility to the society we live in for their health and safety. And I don't know how we can convince some people. I've heard people say, I don't know why the president isn't doing anything. I don't know why the Senate and the Congress isn't doing anything. The state, the county, you know, what are we doing? Even the city, you know, we passed our mask ordinance and we did all that. Well, you know, remember that first among equals. It's all of our responsibility to go out there and really push hard and remind people. You know, a simple thing like wearing a mask, staying 6 feet apart, washing your hands, just following the county and the state orders. I know it's hard. There's no doubt about it. Our Christmas is going to be over Zoom with our grandkids. But go out and do what you can, see who you can convince, and really watch out for the health and safety. I know that COVID's going to be a biggie. Affordable housing will continue to be a biggie. Village South will be a big project. La Puerta school site is going to be a big project. All I can say is let's all move forward with knowledge, with patience, and with kindness. And let's see what we can do. And thank you all again. I really appreciate it. I'm not going away either. I'm still living in Claremont.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you very much for your service. And yeah, like Jen was saying, yeah, we'll all retain these mayor titles and see if it could get you out of a parking ticket someday. All right. Well, with that, I want first thank everyone that especially our elected officials and the reps that were here to recognize our awardees today. And it really is what makes this program very special. I do want to recognize one more person who I know was on the call, but let's see if she's still here. You know, this has been just an incredible election year locally. Like I said earlier, with the district dean and the changes and just so many things that were happening, and then doing it all virtually. It really was incredible. But like with Larry retiring, we also have our retiring Citrus College trustee, Sue Keith, who's on the call here today, who not only has been a tremendous friend, a great neighbor, but really has represented us so well at Citrus College and made us all so proud to have Claremont represented by her there with Citrus College. So Sue, I want to recognize you for all the work that you've done and just doing a great for your years of service there at Citrus. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sam. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, guys. Well, with that, we have a couple of last minute things. I do want to let you all know that we are a couple quick announcements. On Friday, January 8th, 2021, thank God, we have a luncheon speaker, Allison Henry, field organizer for Everyone In. And she's going to talk about the high cost of a roof and what we can do about it. Also on Monday, January 25th, we have our members meeting, and that's going to be the election of officers. So we will have the election of officers online, and we'll have a link that we'll be sending out. And this announcement was made possible by the person who really is, as was mentioned earlier, the glue of this organization, of this club, and that's Carol Lee. And she really keeps us on our toes and just keeps the weekends I sometimes tune out and just want to do my own thing. But Carol Lee's the one that's there like, don't forget, we got to do this and we got to do that. And, if it wasn't for Carol Lee, honestly, guys, it would be this. I don't know how much this club could keep going, but she really has been so solid. So thank you, Carol Lee, for all your work. And then with that, I say good night, and for closing, we have a special presentation from Mel. Mel, you're still on the call.
Oh, really?
Yes, Mel. We have Mel put together a great PowerPoint presentation in the great celebration that we had this November. So we'll close it off with the PowerPoint. And again, to everyone, we stood strong. we made it through 2020. We're making it through 2020, and we're blue in 2020, all to the work of everyone here on this page. So congratulations to everyone. Everyone have great happy holidays and
Happy holidays, everyone.
yes, and we truly look forward to seeing you all in 2021, and hopefully in person where we could give each other hugs and handshakes. So with that,
yes.
now
Okay. Thanks, Sam.
Sam, good job.
Great meeting
Sam.
and great honorees tonight. It's terrific. I'm thinking of Gar Byram tonight because I watch his daughter and his granddaughter in England almost every day. And he would be really happy about tonight and tonight's slideshow, which honors our hard work in the recent election. This takes 5 minutes if you want to watch it. And we appreciate everyone's great effort and commitment to our victory in many of our races this year. So we should be able to see the PowerPoint now. And let me start, and I hope this will work. Tell me if it works.
Okay.
It's on.
You're on.
It's on an automatic timer.
No, you have to hit play. Hit play from start.
It's the overview.
It's in start. It should be playing.
Not yet.
It's just the overview.
Hit play from start.
Don't have.
Did it start?
Play
Top
from
left.
start. No, it's not on this one. Play from start.
Play narration?
No.
Show tab bar. Oh boy. Okay.
Play from start over there.
I'm going to stop the share and start it again and see if this will go. PowerPoint and share, and we should.
Okay.
There you go.
And now
Okay.
we're on.
This should start working.
Hi, Carol.
It needs to move. Here we go.
And we-
Okay. It's moving.
And now we can, in anything you recognize, you're free to cheer and clap and say yes or laugh.
Oh, boo.
Whoa. Whoa. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. One of my favorite signs.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Nope.
Great.
Nope.
This is the year. Look at the right-hand one.
Stop the Donald.
Oh, with his.
It.
Yeah.
I'm on the inside and should be thrown out in November.
In the Republican Club, put the nope sign above their headquarters over by
Griswold's.
Wow.
The dopes.
There's our Chris. Yay, Chris.
I think that might have been the landlord's choice though, Joe.
Yay, Carol.
Is that Carol?
Hey,
Yeah.
Christine.
Lord.
Christine, yay.
Yeah, good job. There's our team.
Yes, California.
They won by almost 8 million votes.
Wow.
Great.
Thank
All those were
No, it was 8 million votes.
Okay.
Yeah, if he had to go out that way, that would be a really good global picture.
Woohoo.
Right, Sarazo, yeah.
There's my bumper sticker.
Good. Indivisible.
Cool picture.
Good work. Always working.
Yeah, Swing Left is meeting on Monday night. So just Google it and get their local
Tomorrow
meeting.
night.
Yeah, that's Monday night.
That's right, tomorrow.
These people.
Oh, there's Ann.
There's Ann
Thorwood.
Thorward. Great job, Ann. And Tom.
All those letters. Wow.
You see my dog in the right-hand picture?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that was 2,800, 2,800.
There's Joe.
Joe.
Yep. 2,800 letters that Ann and Tom sent out.
Wow.
Wow. We've
I
also,
only,
we've sent a whole bunch to Georgia within the last couple weeks.
Yay, Fauci.
Yay.
yep, he's sticking around.
Yes.
Laura did a good job. She'll be coming in
Yes.
behind Sue.
Nice. Easy one. That's going far away. Pray to God that these ain't fake. Right.
Grab him by the ballot.
He hasn't figured that out yet.
Oh, it's so good to see
Another
them.
terrific team. Yeah.
Yes.
That's a good picture of them.
That's the back bumper of my car.
Aw.
I've got, this is my old car.
Yay.
Yay.
Democratic Club.
That's out in front of. that's
Best Democratic Club ever.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Mel.
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 Happy holidays.
Happy holidays,
Happy
everybody.
Thank
Happy
you,
holidays.
guys.
everybody.
Very nice.
Bye.
Well
Thanks
done,
so much,
Sam.
Sam.
Okay.
I like
Well
your
done.
leadership.
See you all in 2021.
Yes, hope in
Yeah.
Stay healthy,
2021.
stay safe.
Everyone be
Yes.
safe.
Stay
Bye,
safe.
Marguerite.
Stay safe.